Hello and welcome to another episode of Josh's Mac Museum. And in this episode we're going to take a look at two 24-inch iMacs that I acquired in a recent donation. And both of these have different problems, but what I'm going to attempt to do is make one good one out of both. Now let's start with this one here. This one I've written has graphics issues, so I think from memory when I turn this one on, the machine would boot up, it would go to the desktop, and then it would just black out. So did a couple of things, did a PRAM reset, did an SMC reset, reinstalled it from an external drive, even booted from an external drive, same thing happened. So we presume graphics issues on the main board. This one seems to have good graphics, but a bad backlight, so the LCD itself is faulty and it just basically looks very yellow, it doesn't really appear very bright. So I'm going to attempt to put the LCD out of this Mac into this Mac, and I've never actually done one of these before, so it'll be interesting to work out what happens in the end. And I went onto my favorite website, iFixit, and they don't actually have a guide for this, so I'm going to be on my own here. I'm going to use one of their guides that is actually for a hard drive, which involves taking the display out. So hopefully that guide will help me out and I can just do the display swap like that. Obviously I'm going to need a couple of tools to do this, so I've got my trusty iFixit toolkit here, which hopefully will do the job for me. And yeah, without further ado, let's have a go. Alright, so I'm going to use these, which I got a long time ago from iFixit. Very helpful for removing the glass. You can do it with your fingernails, but it's definitely a lot easier if you have a go at using one of these, because they stick really well. Of course, these are held in by magnets, and the trick is not getting any dust or anything like that in there. So I'm going to put this over in a safe place. Alright, so I'm going to need a Phillips head screwdriver. I'm guessing it's probably going to be a 0 or a 00. And the first step is to remove the access door screw. So that's underneath the bottom here. So we're going to do that. Okay, so we're going to lay this down and hopefully you can see that okay from there. Got a couple of different screws. They're all Torx T8. So find T8. That one. Yep. Okay, so something I find really helpful when I'm doing repairs like this is this magnetic project mat by iFixit. It basically lets me put the screws down in the order that I take them out, so it's really easy to put the computer back together at the end. So I'm just going to be using that. The other thing I like to do is just put the screws down in the same order as I go around. Then I'm going to put them back in, so it literally looks the exact same and you just follow them the same way around. Disconnect this microphone cable. 24-inch Josh. So you can see here the design of this iMac is pretty cool. You can see all those internals there. It looks pretty rad. Just if you were to rock your iMac like this, imagine just using it like that and there's just glass on the front. Pretty cool, in my opinion. So under here, we've got all but one cable disconnected. Obviously got our hard drive behind there, the power supply, logic board, DVD, CD drive over there. This here, the power supply, you've got to be pretty careful because each of these capacitors have got charge in them still. So I'm going to prop this up and see how I go. with disconnecting this. Right, that's one of the iMacs with its screen taken out, and now we need to put this one aside, swap over and do the same thing with the other one. So it's interesting comparing, I guess, the lives that these iMacs have lived. You can tell a lot from little things, like these RAM covers. You can see this one's a lot cleaner than this one, and I'll show you some B-roll here of the inside. The fans just caked in dust. It's no wonder this thing has graphics issues. Alright, we're going to swap this back over. So, faulty graphics, good graphics, and heck of a lot cleaner. So, obviously this is the machine that I'm going to be using. Might just give it a quick clean out using the trusty old Colgate. In an ideal world, I'd have a beautiful little vacuum or compressed air or something, but I don't have one of those, so I'm using the Colgate. Also, just a good chance when you've got the machine open like this to just inspect for any liquid damage. Often they've got liquid damage sensors on the boards, particularly in the newer machines, and they basically glow a colour, usually a pinky red colour if there's any liquid on them. I found a couple of them on this machine, but they are not glowing, thank goodness. Anyway, let's get our good LCD back onto this and see if it works. Okay, so before I go too much further, I'm thinking it might be a good idea to just test this out, see if our LCD is actually going to power up. So I've just put a couple of screws in. I'll grab my power cable and hopefully not electrocute anything or anyone. See what happens. Yeah, as you can see, it looks like it's all good, so I'll just kill the power to that and we'll try and put the rest of it back together. Now here's always the risky part. The screen's pretty dirty and it's always a risk of, do I make it worse potentially by cleaning it off with a clean microfiber, or do I improve on that situation? I feel like just even by just doing that, the little part there, it's substantially better. So I'm going to give it a quick wipe over. Obviously, this is not a usual practice because usually these things are clean when they come out, but I suspect this one might have been out once before. Remember, this was out of a dirty iMac. It was filthy on the inside, so it's probably never been clean. That's looking heaps better. You probably can't see it on there, but it's looking much better. Alright, so we're just gonna re-screw back in that connector for the data cable. Sensor connected, data connected. Now it's time for the casing. Put the original casing back on after, of course, giving it a quick wipe down. Bam! So there you have it. One fully working iMac 24-inch. We've swapped out the display. I guess we'll test it now and see if there's any other graphics issues, but until then, I'll catch you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe.